Omajanatimrandasya Chinanjala Shlakya Sakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Vacharani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskatai Desatarani. Hare Krishna, good morning. It is a very auspicious day today, the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada, that Srila Prabhupada has spread the Krishna conscious movement all over the world. And everything what's happening in our movement today is still by His mercy. When someone asked me what is the most important festival during Kartik, then I replied, it's the disappearance day of Srila Prabhupada. That Srila Prabhupada was empowered by Lord Chaitanya to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. This was predicted by Lord Chaitanya and is mentioned in the biography of Chaitanya Mangal by Lord Chandas Thakur. He predicted that his Senapati Bhakta, his expert field commander, would spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Lord Chaitanya had spread it all over India. But he engaged Srila Prabhupada in spreading the Krishna conscious movement all over the world. So what makes Srila Prabhupada so special? When a reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, he asked Srila Prabhupada what was the earliest age that you remember that you became Krishna conscious. And Prabhupada replied, I don't know, I don't remember any moment in my life I was not Krishna conscious. So that is the position of a Nitya Siddha devotee, one who always remembers Krishna, an eternal associate. That when Srila Prabhupada appeared as the son of Mohan Dev was also pure Vaishnava. And they were living in Calcutta. His father had a shop. He was a cloth merchant. But his father was sitting in his shop and was mostly, when there were no clients, he was reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And he invited many sadhus at his home and fed them, and Srila Prabhupada, as a baby, as a toddler, he was hearing every day his father ringing the bell, doing puja, his parents brought him to the Mulik's temple, which is not far from where they lived. was practically at the other side of the street. In 1996, Bhakti Maharaj, he guided us in Calcutta and brought us to all the places where Srila Prabhupada lived. And he brought us also to this Mulix temple. And when Prabhupada was a toddler, when he was maybe 3-4 years, when before the deities of Shishi Radha Govinda, beautiful deities, he was gazing at the deities for hours. That just being absorbed. Mostly children from 4-5 years old, they are restless. They want to play so many things. And that his father organized Ratha Yatra for him, for the children, because Prabhupada wanted a cart, just like in Jagannath Puri. And an old lady was donated a cart, and his father built it transformed it into a small replica of the Jagannath cart in Jagannath Puri. And all the mothers, they were cooking, offering prasad, and then the children at Ratha Yatra in the street for the neighbors, and were distributing the prasad and doing kirtan. So these were the earliest days of Prabhupada. He appeared in this world on this day in 1896. He grew up, trained by his father in devotional service. From a young age, he had his own deities, which he was worshipping. And he was sent. Then, when he grew up, he was sent to the Scottish College in Calcutta. It was a college which was run by Scottish missionaries, Methodists. And of course, the purpose of these missionaries, and also from the British Raj, was to destroy his Hinduism. But Prabhupada, he silently protested against it, and when the day of his graduation came, he did not appear out of protest. At that time, Srila Prabhupada was a member of the Gandhi movement, who wanted to liberate India, make it independent, and get the British out. And he was married. His father arranged a marriage with another Vaishnavi, Radharani. Interesting is that Prabhupada was not attracted to his wife. He went to his father and he suggested maybe I should get a second wife. But his father said, don't do that. Just that He did not advise that. Then, a few years later, one of his friends, he came and said, he said to Prabhupada, whose name was Abhijah, the fearless. He said, you should meet a sadhu, a follower of Lord Chaitanya. He's a great personality. You should meet him. And Prabhupada said, replied, I'm not attracted to meeting sadhus. My father has received so many sadhus, and they were smoking biddies, and they were not serious in their vows. But his friend said, this sadhu is different. You must. And he forced him to meet this sadhu. And they went to somewhere in the center of Calcutta. This first meeting place is owning it now since a few years, and you can visit it. So it was in a building, and that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj sat on the top floor. So they went up both and offered obeisances to the sadhu Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. And just after offering obeisances, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said to Srila Prabhupada and his friends, you are educated young people. You should engage in spreading the mission of Lord Chaitanya. And Prabhupada objected that. He said, yes, but who will listen to us? That as long as India is not independent, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj replied, this is an urgency to spread this movement to all the English-speaking people, that rulers will come and go. India has been under Muslim rule, British rule, that this is the material world. But this is an urgency, the spreading of Krishna consciousness. This was the first meeting of Srila Prabhupada with Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. And from the first moment, Prabhupada accepted him as his spiritual master. And since then, he had regular contacts with the members of the Gaudiya Math. Because he became a representative of a big pharmaceutical company in Calcutta. And he was traveling practically all over India to commercialize these products. And he did well. At a certain time, he had even traveling in a car, which was rare in India at that time. But he moved to Allahabad and different places, and always supported the Gaudiya Math. And he started to give lectures in the Gaudiya Math, because he was very proficient in the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and this first meeting, I think, with his spiritual master was in 1923. 1922 or 1923. And then many years later, in 1933, Prabhupada received initiation from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. And he repeated this order: you should preach in the English-speaking world. And he told others, he will do everything himself. That there are much more details here, but then in 1936, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj left this world. And then some years later, Prabhupada left his family, and he left his family because his wife Radharani was also a devotee, but she was not so in the preaching. She didn't want him to do this preaching work. And at one day she traded the Bhagavatam for some tea or biscuits. I don't remember exactly. But for Prabhupada, it was the end. He said, tea or me. And he left. At that time also his business was taken over by his children. He had 5 children. The the youngest was Vrindavan. Vrindavan Das. I met Vrindavan in Calcutta in 1996. But he has already left us now also. And so then Prabhupada went to Jhansi and started a kind of center there. But he got this place for use, but later the wife of the donor wanted to use it for other purposes. And then Srila Prabhupada went to Vrindavan. His Gurumats had appeared a few times in his dreams, saying him, you should take sannyas. Prabhupada was horrified, in the beginning was horrified by it. That why should I take sannyas? But after 2-3 times again, this dream reoccurred. He concluded it's the will of my spiritual master to take sannyas. And his godbrother, I think Keshava Maharaj, organized together with another godbrother, performed the sannyas sacrifice ceremony. And then Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan meditating on execution of the mission that he received from his spiritual master. And he translated Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, and begged for donations to print it. And it was very difficult to get paper for printing after the Second World War. But finally he got also the paper, and it was printed in Delhi. even personally proofreading because printing means they had to set it, the letters, and then print it, and he was checking if there were no errors, and he engaged an artist to make the cover of the first canto, which we still know as all these Vaikuntha planets. And then he was at the Samadhi of Rupa Goswami, which is at the Radha Damodar temple. I could see it from his room. I was praying every day to Rupa Goswami for empowerment to go to the West. And finally, he decided to go to Calcutta, and there he met Srimati Moraji, who was the president of the Indian Steam Company. Don't exactly remember the name of the company, but he begged because this company was doing, sending ships, freight carriers from Calcutta to Boston in the United States, and he was begging for a free passage. Because Srimati Moraji was a follower of Vallabha Acharya. This story is also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, also Vaishnava. And Prabhupada was instructing her in the Srimad Bhagavatam but Srimati Moraji said, Prabhupada, when you go to America, you will die. You are already 69, 70. But Prabhupada said, yes, but what can I do? This is the order of my spiritual master. Please give. And for many times he begged, and finally she agreed. But then to travel to America, he needed a P form. But there was Prabhupada had one friend, Mr. Agarwal, and he had his son was in Butler, Pennsylvania, near to New York. And finally he got a sponsorship for them. But then he went to the office to get his P form that he needed for going to America. And every time he went, he applied for it, but then it didn't came. Every time he went to the office, the clerk, those in charge, refused to give him. And that took weeks, 3 months. And then one day Prabhupada was waiting before the building until the big manager came, and he spoke directly to him. And a few hours later, he had his P form. And then he departed on the Jaladutta. The only one who was there when he left was Vrindavan Das, his youngest son, was there. He spoke about that in 1996 after Prabhupada's centennial program in Calcutta. Because Vrindavan Das had also said that Prabhupada left his family, but then later we heard that he took sannyas and we were all shocked. And he said that. Then Prabhupada was on the Jaladutta. And on the Jaladutta, the captain had given him a special quarters and gave him a stove to cook separately, vegetarian. And when they went from the Indian Ocean to the Arabic Sea, there was a big storm. And Prabhupada got 2 heart attacks. And then after the second heart attack, Krishna appeared in a vision to Prabhupada and told him, "Don't worry, I will carry over to America. From now on, the ocean will be calm." And then they went to the Suez Canal into the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. And the captain said, "We have never seen such a peaceful Atlantic Ocean." And he asked Prabhupada, can you come back with us? But anyway, when Prabhupada arrived in Boston, he wrote his two poems, because Prabhupada was very proficient in English and especially good in poetry. And he wrote Markina Bhagavat Dharma, one poem, and also Prayer to the Lotus Feet of Krishna. Very beautiful prayers. And then when he arrived, he went to Butler. Well, it was a travel agent who waited for him, and he put him on a bus to Butler. And when he arrived Butler, Pennsylvania, he was welcomed by the Agrawal family. That's so he arrived in America. And Mrs. Agrawal said, of Prabhupada, when Prabhupada would smile, he would have an oceanic smile. And he had some preaching engagement there. And finally, from the Agrawal family, he ended up in the YMCA, where he was staying. And then from there, he decided to go to New York. And in New York, he rented a loft of a building in the Bowery. The Bowery, there were many drug addicts, and it was really a backward neighborhood. And there he was sharing a loft with someone else, a young boy who was a drug addict and who became mad sometimes. But finally, he got some preaching also at a yoga studio from an impersonalist. But finally, he got some followers, and then they moved to 26 Second Avenue, where they rented a little store, much less gifts, which we are renting for the moment. And there the movement started. He gave lectures in Tompkins Square Park. I mean to say, he did Harinam in Tompkins Square Park, and that attracted many young people. And so the first devotees joined there, And like it's Umapati was one of the first. And then, of course, we have Brahmananda came later, Satsvarup Maharaj. They came all from there. Yes, from there, Srila Prabhupada, it's at the first initiations, and after a few months there, he went to San Francisco, where they had organized a big festival and attracted many hippies. And from there he went to Montreal because his visa in the US was not extended. And it was easy for him to go to Canada because that was a Commonwealth country. And then he instructed some of these first devotees that like Godas, Shyamananda, Malati Mataji, and others to go to London and start a center there. So by that, Srila Prabhupada, he started to spread the movement in the Western countries and then all over the world. He sent some devotees to Amsterdam and to Hamburg, that all this first, the history of the first devotees in Germany, it's recorded in a book of Gauravani Maharaj. Very beautiful. And then it spread gradually all over the world. In fact, when Srila Prabhupada appeared in this world, astrologers had predicted that he would spread the movement, that he would preach and cross over the oceans, and open 108 temples. And Prabhupada got more and more disciples. But Srila Prabhupada's mercy is essential for all of us, because the mercy comes to Srila Prabhupada. In our movement, if we accept the bona fide spiritual master, it's a servant, it's a disciple of a grand disciple from Srila Prabhupada. And they are representatives of Srila Prabhupada. Factually, Srila Prabhupada is still the spiritual inspiration and spiritual power in this movement. He's still preaching ISKCON. ISKCON is his body. And every devotee in ISKCON has a relationship with Srila Prabhupada. But most important are Prabhupada's teachings and his example. Therefore, it's advised, especially all new devotees should read Prabhupada's Lilamrita. Because that's the first thing, our relationship with Prabhupada. That That is where the mercy from comes. Because his relationship with Prabhupada means relationship with his teachings. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he gave practically up his sleep at night just to translate Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and so many other books in the English language. Once he said to the disciples, why do I get up in the middle of the night in my old age and translate his books? It's for you. It's for you to read. If you are not reading my books, go avakyam. It's no offense to the spiritual master. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada would read his own books. And then Prabhupada would say, who reads his own books? No one. So that proves that Prabhupada said, these are not my books. Once in New York in the beginning, Prabhupada established the Sunday feast. He did everything himself in the beginning. But then when guests came, some of his disciples were speaking with the guest, and one disciple said to the guest, Prabhupada has written these books on inspiration of Krishna, of the super soul within the heart. And Prabhupada heard this and said, no, Krishna dictated me these books personally. So we can understand these are Prabhupada's words, are Krishna's words. So it's by Srila Prabhupada's compassion that we are all here today in this movement. And this compassion has no limits. Srila Prabhupada, when he went to Russia, he met Professor Kotovsky. He was a professor in the Vedic culture. And he said to Prabhupada that, Swamiji, after death, everything is finished. So there is no soul or something. He was an atheist. But still, that when I was in the Ukraine, about 6-7 years ago, I think it was 2018, I was staying in an apartment of a devotee in Lviv. Lviv is a city in the western Ukraine. And the devotee drove me to the temple, and the driver said to me, I'm the grandson of Professor Potovsky from Moscow. So finally, Prabhupada meets Professor Kotovsky, and the mercy goes down to his grandson, who becomes a devotee. Shuddhakirti Prabhu told us also of his, when he was flying with Srila Prabhupada from America to Mexico. There was an air hostess on the plane, and she spoke to Shuddhakirti Prabhu, who was a servant of Prabhupada. Prabhupada was sitting just beside him, and that she said, well, can I serve you something? And Shuddhakirti asked Prabhupada, and said, Prabhupada, do you want something? And Prabhupada said, maybe some milk and fruits. And she arranged for milk and fruits for Prabhupada. But they had also some prasadam with them, and Prabhupada was also taking that. And Aerostas came, and suddenly she took a little of the prasad from his place and put it in her mouth. It was shocking. But then Shuddhakirti Prabhu, about 30 years later, visited the devotees in Brazil. And they went to a place which was far, somewhere in the wilderness, was far from any city. And they had a kind of Namhata there. And when they came there, then and knocked at the door, then a Vaishnavi opened with tilak, sari, and said she said the prasad is ready. And she said to Shuddhakirti, don't you recognize me? That Prabhupada, and Shuddhakirti said, no. And she said, I was the aerostess when on this flight, this particular flight. So she became a devotee. Now, this is Prabhupada's mercy, but to understand Prabhupada is a pure devotee, and we cannot understand the motivations of a pure devotee. It's why he's doing things in a particular way, because he has contact with the super soul. He sees through everyone. So it's difficult to understand the pure devotee. So once he instructed one sannyasi and said to that sannyasi, you should not stay longer than 3 days in one place, and go to the next place. So continue traveling. And at the same time, to another sannyasi, he said, you stay in Vrindavan, you never leave Vrindavan. At one sannyasi, he said, a sannyasi should always travel. Interesting. That, of course, Srila Prabhupada's purpose was to engage everyone in the best interest of the preaching. Prabhupada was also practical. He said to his disciples, when you get up, you chant 4 rounds. Before breakfast, you chant 4 rounds. Otherwise, don't take breakfast. Before the lunch, you chant 4 rounds. And in the evening, before the dinner, you chant 4 rounds. And you have your 16 rounds. That something practical. Tupalananamachi said once that to the devotees, he put this, whenever you have time, Prabhupada said, take your beat back and you chant that, so whatever moment we are free, chant. Mother Shayabhadra, she's a Prabhupada disciple from Canada, who is in Rade, dus in Belgium, for maybe last 50 years she's there. But once she was with Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was playing cartels, he plays out in a particular way, Prabhupada. And another devotee tried to imitate him, but it didn't go well. And Mother Jayabhadra said, yeah, don't try to imitate, he's a Vaikuntha man. And Prabhupada heard it and he smiled. Mm. Prabhupada was also an expert preacher. And that if we would, if someone would debate with him, then he would find, in his preaching, he would find a weak point and press the weak point until they die. Like towards the Christians, you have the fifth commandment, Moses, yeah, that's, which says, "Thou shalt not kill." But Prabhupada said they open slaughterhouses, but so they are not real Christians. That's yeah. Then someone asked Prabhupada, what does it take to become Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada said, just a moment. Of course, if we really want, we can think of Krishna this moment, but then the next moment you have also to be Krishna conscious. But he said like this, yeah. Mm. He was transcendental. During his last visit at Manach, when he came from Vrindavan, he wanted to go to America, but he became again very sick when he was in England. He was at the Bhaktivedanta Manach the whole day in bed. You can see, you have these videos where they carry him on a palanquin down with big glasses to see the deities. But he was in bed the whole day practically, and a devotee asked Prabhupada, are you suffering? Prabhupada said, I do not feel anything. That because as a pure devotee, he was not identifying with the body. So we have so many ways to connect with Srila Prabhupada. Reading his books, daily Guru Puja, distribution of his books, and be committed to our sadhana, regularly chanting, that develop a missionary spirit, that so yes, Prabhupada, someone asked Prabhupada, it is in the Bhagavad Gita, it said, if you go to the spiritual world, you are not coming back. But if we want to come back, can we come back? Prabhupada said, yes, if you want to come back, you can. That, yeah, there are so many pastimes that. So Prabhupada is still empowering us. His empowerment is in his books. And his books are like time bombs. That, at the end, in his last days in Vrindavan, our Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Charamaj, was serving him. And someone asked Prabhupada, how will this movement go on without you? Prabhupada replied, with intelligence and organization. That so yes, that there are many extraordinary pastimes. When Prabhupada arrived, the day Prabhupada arrived with the Chaladuta in America, we celebrate that. That was I think the 17th September 65, I think. So in Russia, they have also this biography of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, that they have it also in a small version. Because today I saw on the internet in Radedesh, Belgium, they have offered a version of the Prabhupada Lilamrita in Dutch now. It's available. But in Russia, a new devotee, she gave a copy of Prabhupada Lilamrita, the abbreviated version, to her grandfather. And his grandfather started to read it. And he became amazed. He said, at a certain moment, he read that when Prabhupada arrived in America and he saw this date, and he couldn't believe it. He said, at that time, I was engaged in, that was at that time the Soviet Union, and he was responsible, one of the men responsible for the nuclear defense. And for a whole month, they prepared all the rockets with nuclear rockets, and it was programmed that each rocket would hit one city in America. And then at a certain day, they got a big alert that they would have to launch the rockets within 24 hours. And then, but the day after, the alarm was cancelled. It was just the same day Prabhupada put his foot on American soil. We can understand the influence of Prabhupada arriving in America. So today, we should not think that Prabhupada has left us. Prabhupada told us, I'm in my books. All my instructions are there. All you need to become Krishna conscious and go back to the spiritual world is there. So today we can pray to Srila Prabhupada for his mercy and pray that we can surrender to his instructions and become committed to his mission and go back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Any comments, please?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. No, thank you very much, Maharaj, for such a wonderful class. There are no comments from here.
Okay, then I wish you all a nice day. It's fasting till noontime, and then at noontime you can remember again Srila Prabhupada and offer him a nice feast, and then celebrate celebrated by taking prasad. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna. Jai Srila
Hare
Prabhupada.
Krishna.
Bhakti Prabhu Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.